guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new here. For today's video, we're going to be taking a first look at a tinted sunscreen that actually launches today, the day that this video goes live. So it's truly brand spanking new and spanking. I haven't said that in years. I don't know why I just said that. It is a sunscreen from a brand that a lot of you know I've been a huge fan of for a while, which is DRMTLGY, and this is their brand spanking new Physical Tinted Moisturizer SPF 44. I will say that I wasn't originally planning on filming a video just dedicated to this, but I was thinking about it and I was like, you know what? I've talked about their original universal tinted moisturizer so many times on my channel, so I thought we could make it a little comparison review, similar to how I just did my most recent Color Science sunscreen flex comparison review. If you haven't seen that yet, I will list that below, but we'll take a look at the ingredients and how those compare, sunscreen actives, formulation. So I'll do application clips where I have the new formulation on one side, the original on the other. We'll talk about how they blend, color coverage, how they reapply, and I will show you what they look like at the end of the day compared to one another, so that you can figure out if this is something that you need to pick up or if it's something that you want to skip altogether. So we'll talk about all of that in a second. Before we do, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, drop a comment below to help to support me with the YouTube algorithm, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. TikTok and Instagram handle are right here, and my Lightroom preset filters are listed in my description box below, along with my 20% off dermatology link and anything else that you guys could possibly need from me, I think. All right, let's jump into it. Okay, so because I am filming this before they actually launch the product, I don't know exactly what they're going to have for the product description on the website, but they did actually send me over a few different kind of touch points. So I will say that while they sent me this information and did send this product to me for free in PR, this video is not sponsored. I'm not being paid to upload this. I don't have to say anything. Everything that I say, as always, is just my own opinion, my honest thoughts. You guys know the drill with me. I do have that 20% off discount link with DRMTLGY, so that's kind of the only gain that I would have from them, I guess you could say. So that's always listed in my description boxes. If you click that link and purchase through that link, you'll automatically get 20% off at no additional cost to you. But of course, you don't have to use that. You can choose to forego it if you would like to. I'm just here to let you guys know the tea, my thought. Why did I just say that? I'm too old to say the tea. I'm here to let you know my thoughts on this product. My God, let's get rolling. Okay, so this says that it is a water-resistant sunscreen that's reef-friendly, tinted to blend with every skin tone, great for sensitive skin, has broad spectrum protection, and is also protective from blue light. The reason why they are calling this a physical tinted moisturizer is because that actually is a point of differentiation from their original formulation. The original is a combination sunscreen, so it has zinc oxide, which is a mineral or physical filter, and octinoxate in it. That is not an issue for a lot of people. I love this sunscreen, but for some, octinoxate can be irritating, especially if you have very sensitive skin. So I don't know what just shook out there, sorry. Often a better alternative for those that do have really sensitive skin and are easily irritated is just to opt for a sunscreen that is completely physical or mineral. So this has 10% zinc oxide and 5.5% titanium dioxide. So no octinoxate, no other chemical filters. That's the gist of the active ingredients. As far as the rest of the ingredients goes, there are several things that this new formulation still does have in common with the original. So the first is that it's still fragrance and essential oil free, which is especially great in this case because they're marketing it towards those with sensitive skin. It also still has hyaluronic acid, vitamin E, and iron oxides. But we do lose out on a couple skin-loving ingredients that are in the original formulation. The first is knotweed extract, which is a great antioxidant for the skin, and the second is niacinamide, which is an amazing ingredient, has so many benefits. It can regulate sebum production, it can smooth texture, it can calm and soothe the skin and calm redness, but it's also something that can be irritating for some, especially because it seems to be in so many products these days. So I actually completely understand why they removed niacinamide from this, but I would have loved to see them replace the knotweed extract and the niacinamide with two other skin-loving ingredients, maybe things that really help to calm and soothe the skin, like panthenol or allantoin. And then I would have felt a little bit better about the increase in price and feel like we're still getting the same bang for our buck that we are getting with the original. You know what I mean? Obviously, $4 is not that big of a deal, and I know we're getting the benefit of this being completely mineral, but still, I'm like, I would have loved to see a couple other things added, but I get it. It's finally time to take a look at this formulation. Let's just dive into it. So I'm going to put the new formula right here, we'll just do a few pumps. I don't know why this pump is not working great for me. What the heck? There we go. And then the original we will put right here. So looking at this close up, there's a couple kind of obvious differences that I'm noticing right away. The first being that this, I just put my finger in that. We'll get to it. This has completely run down my hand, whereas this one stayed put. So that typically means that the one that stays put is going to be a creamier formulation, and this one, of course, is much more liquidy. The other thing that I notice is that this looks a little bit lighter and more yellow in undertone, whereas this looks just a smidge darker and leans a little bit more orange, I would say, even though I've never considered it to be an orange sunscreen, just compared to one another. And then there we have those blended out just on the back of the hand. So this one definitely does appear to be lighter here still, but it has more coverage and more consistency of coverage, whereas this one looks a lot more sheer. So I think it's just harder to tell that it looks a little bit darker because of that. And you can also just see the obvious difference in kind of that creaminess, where this one just, it looks a little bit thicker and creamier, and it does feel that way as well. This one, you can just tell it's much wetter in formulation. Check it out. But obviously that is just a hand swatch, so I wanted to make sure that I showed you guys that close up, but let's jump into the face swatches and applications so that you can really see these in action. Quickly, if you're wondering, I do have a vitamin C serum and moisturizer on already. I'm using the DRMTLGY Vitamin C Serum, love that one, and the La Roche-Posay Toleriane Ultra Soothing Repair Moisturizer. Very nice and lightweight, and I love this because it's not something that looks too glowy to where it would really alter how these sunscreens look whatsoever. So wanted to say that first, but now let's go ahead and apply these sunscreens. So we'll start off with the new physical sunscreen first. I'm going to apply this to the right side of my face. That's what it looks like, one little swipe. I will do 2 applications of both sunscreens, by the way, because that's what I always do. I need to switch hands. I'm not good at blending in with my left hand. Okay, so I think that this blends in really nicely. If you guys can see this here on camera, you do just initially have some streaking like you would with any other tinted sunscreen, but I would say it's very easy to blend in, and I actually think it's a lot easier to work with than other tinted sunscreens. So for example, one that I just reviewed actually was the new Color Science Flex sunscreen. If you haven't seen that video, I will list that below. That one is one that you really have to work with, and kind of, what would I say? It's something that you can't just like slap on and get away with a bad blend, whereas something like this, I think it's just a little bit more foolproof in that sense, but you still do have to work with it. I would say feel is very, very nice and soft. It feels moisturizing, it feels hydrating. And while it's something that doesn't feel maybe quite as lightweight as the original, it still feels like a lightweight sunscreen. Like when I think about so many of the other sunscreens that I've tried that are completely mineral, ooh, there have been some thick ones. Okay, so here is one application of the new physical formulation compared to my natural skin tone. It is a little bit darker and a little bit warmer, but I wouldn't say it's too obvious. Like it's not that dark to where you're like, ooh, and it definitely is not pulling orange, which I love. All right, now let's go in with the original formulation. I would say same exact thing here with the blend, honestly, where you do get a little bit of that initial streaking like you would with any other tinted sunscreen, but it's very easy to work with. And this one definitely feels like it has a little bit more wetness to the formulation, even though it does still feel slightly lighter weight. So it's not in a thicker way. It's kind of in a way where you would like know that it's gonna end up looking very dewy on the skin, if that makes sense. Okay, so here's one application of the original versus the new. I do feel like you get a little bit more coverage on this side, and this side leans a little bit more orange. So hopefully we'll be able to see that just more apparently with that second application. So let's do that. Yeah, you definitely do get a little bit of bunching or pulling, if you will, with that second application, so you just have to work with it a little bit. Yeah, it's interesting. I definitely feel like it just looks slightly darker when you first swatch it out compared to the new one. All right, let's do a little close-up here. Again, this is the new formulation. What was that claw? This is the original formulation, and I did go ahead and wait 10 minutes for this to settle into the skin. They both look very, very shiny at first, and in order to get a real feel for the actual finish, I feel you need to wait a good 10 minutes, and that shininess definitely does tone down. So I would say as far as how these actually blend into the skin, they pretty much perform exactly the same, where yes, you do get a little bit of that initial streaking, especially with the second application, but it's very easy to blend away. Really no major issues there. And again, it's just kind of the same experience for both. While yes, the new formulation does feel a little bit thicker and creamier, now that I'm sitting here 10 minutes later, I can't tell that I have two different sunscreens on. It's not like I can feel excess product here. They both feel lightweight, they feel hydrating. I really don't feel a major difference in either. And they actually look very comparable too from far away, especially as far as the color goes. Like, it's funny because when you first squeeze it out of the tube, I think that they look quite a bit different, so I was expecting that to translate on the skin as well, but it really doesn't. If anything, the biggest thing that I've noticed is that I do think you actually get more coverage with the new formulation. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to pick up on that, but it's just more consistent coverage, a little bit more on this side, definitely leans a little bit more sheer and is not quite as even in coverage throughout just because of how sheer it is. But it's not a major difference. And it's not like this is a full coverage sunscreen either. I would just say it's sheer to light, whereas this side is just fully sheer. You know? Okay, I shut off my vanity lights so that we can get a real feel for the finish now, because those lights are super bright and definitely enhance any glow that exists. So let's take a look now at the new formulation and that level of shine versus the original. I definitely do feel that the new formula looks even glowier on the skin than the original. That's my final answer, but they both have a glowy formulation. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and go about my day, and then I will come back to do reapplication on camera, and we'll see first how they've held up and then how they perform with the next application. So be right back. All right, it's been a few hours, so we are going to go ahead and reapply, but let's do a close-up both with my lights on and without to see how they've held up in comparison to one another. So new formulation, original. They both look good. Really nothing has changed since we last checked in. Okay, I'll wait for that to adjust. I really wouldn't say that either are looking shinier really since we last checked in. I'm probably gonna watch this footage and be like, yes, they do. I don't feel there's a noticeable difference in that. They both kind of have just maintained where we last were. So for reapplication, we're gonna turn those lights on. The physical new formulation first. I painted my nails since we last talked, can you tell? It's blending really well on top of the sunscreen that was already there. Really no issues or complaints whatsoever. Feels the same as when we first applied. Very nice and moisturizing. Jump over to the original side. So for this one, I do feel that it's slightly streakier, like I have to work a little bit more to blend that in than I did with this side, but I honestly just think it's because of the coverage thing that I was talking about. Because the formulation's more sheer, you can see my skin more underneath it. The streaks are gonna be more obvious. But there we go, streaks are gone, looks perfect. Yeah, see how shiny these are when I first apply them? Like, this is my worst nightmare as someone with oily skin. It looks like I am literally sweating. I have something in my tooth. Sorry if that was distracting, my goodness. Yeah, it looks like I'm sweating off oil, especially like in and around through, I mean, basically everywhere. Let's be real. We gotta give it 10 minutes again. Okay, so here is where we are at with the beauty lights on. Why does that make me look like a pumpkin while it's adjusting? Okay, and then here is with the beauty lights off. Really no change to what I was saying originally. This side is still glowier, still gives you a glow, but this is more. So it's really interesting how the finish of these two sunscreens ended up kind of comparing at the end of the day, because it really was not consistent with what I was expecting after the hand swatches. I would have guessed that the original formulation would end up looking a lot shinier than the new one, but that was flipped. And for me personally, this new formulation does just end up looking too shiny on my skin by the end of the day. I do have oily skin though, so keep that in mind. If you had dry skin, I feel like you would be obsessed with this new formulation because it does feel a little bit more moisturizing. You're getting that really, really pretty glow. I think you'll love it, and it's not like it's a gross amount of glow. It's just that for someone with oily skin, it just really does not agree with my skin, unfortunately. So for me personally, I am going to stick with the original formulation, but I think that the new one is really, really great and hopefully will be a great option for those of you that are dry and sensitive. I really want Dermatology to come out with a sunscreen that is tinted but has more of a demi-matte finish, because both of these really do more so cater towards those with normal to dry skin. I don't want something that's completely flat and matte because I don't like the way that that looks on my skin. I still want to look radiant, but just in a little bit more of a subdued way. So Dermatology, please come out with a demi-matte, satin matte, natural matte, whatever you want to call it, matte tinted sunscreen, please. And the other thing that I will say about both of these is that at this point, they just do need to come out with additional shades. One shade for each of these does not cut it, and I honestly think the use of the word universal is a little bit like, you just can't say that anymore. There is nothing that is universally going to work for every single skin tone. So I really hope that they come out with additional shades in the future, if not multiple, at least one that is going to be better suited for dark skin, because I just don't think that this cuts it. So that's just my personal opinion, but wanted to make sure I was saying that. But with that, we have made it to the end of this review. So I am dying to hear your guys' thoughts on this new formulation. Are you going to pick it up? Do you think that it's really going to work well for your skin, or are you going to skip it, stick with the original? I do highly recommend both, so I would love to hear your thoughts either way, even if you think that both are just not going to work out at all for you. If there's any other sunscreens or just anything that you guys would like me to review, please let me know that in the comments as well. I would love to do that for you. If you did enjoy this video and found it helpful, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Again, subscribe to my channel and send my channel to a friend, because those things really help to support me. Make sure to stay tuned for my next video, because that will be up in a few days. But until then, I hope you have a great few days.